Well, welcome to Darn's Virtual College Week. This is the engineering panel. So happy that you guys have joined us this afternoon. Just a few reminders before we get going. This will be recorded, so we will be recording this presentation for you guys. Additionally, if you can keep yourselves on mute as well as your video on mute, we would appreciate that. If you do have any specific questions, we will be going over a list of predetermined questions, but if you have some specific questions, please feel free to include those in the chat and we will get to those at the end of the presentation if they're not already addressed during our questions. I will go ahead and start introducing myself and the other panelists on this panel. So my name is Catherine Morris with Louisiana Tech University. We're located in Ruston, Louisiana. We're a mid-sized public institution, and we're most well known for our engineering programs.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Landorf. I work for Purdue University, and we are located in West Lafayette, Indiana. We are best known for our engineering programs. We have 17 engineering majors out of the 200 total majors that we have. And we'll talk a little more specific how that might work later. And thanks for coming today.
Derek, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sorry about that. Howdy, I'm Derek Naito with Texas A&M University. We're located in College Station, Texas. We have the largest engineering program in the state of Texas with over 23 different majors, and that's out of our over 120 majors that we offer at the university. And our College of Engineering is comprised of almost roughly about a good half of our undergraduate student body.
Hi everyone, my name is Jill Davis and I'm the Texas Regional Representative for the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. We are located in Urbana-Champaign, Illinois. We are home to the #6 ranked undergraduate engineering program in the nation. We offer 14 engineering majors and 14 computer science or computer science related majors. And 13 of our engineering majors are in the top 5 of their respective categories. Thanks so much for joining us.
And then Chandra, if you're on, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself.
Sorry, computer issues today. My name is Chandra Crawley and I work for Wichita State University. We are located in Wichita, Kansas, and we have a variety of engineering programs. Aerospace engineering is specifically one that we do very well in. We are the #1 research funded aerospace institution in the nation. So lots of great facilities and research that we get to do at Wichita State.
Also, if the engineer on our panel could raise her hand, I just wanted to make that clear as well, that we do have an engineer on our panel. Well, thank you guys again for joining us today. We'll go ahead and get started with our first question, and I'll go ahead and respond right after. So what is the difference between a holistic admissions review in terms of engineering versus automatic admissions? And I'll go ahead and take that first part of that question. So what is automatic admissions when it looks like, or what it looks like for engineering specifically? So at Louisiana Tech, what our process looks like is you'll apply directly to your major. So for example, if you're interested in mechanical engineering, you can be accepted directly into the mechanical engineering program. And so your freshman year, you would be a mechanical engineering student specifically. So what automatic admissions means is you won't have to be admitted separately into our College of Engineering and Science. So if you're admitted to Louisiana Tech, you would automatically be admitted to the College of Engineering and Science. One caveat that we do have specifically for our program is you do have to reach certain math component on your standardized test in order to immediately start into that program. And so that's the one caveat I have with automatic admissions. And so I'll let my counterpart from Purdue explain what holistic admissions review for engineering is like.
Hi again, and thanks for the engineering shout out, Catherine. Sorry I forgot to mention that. Yes, I have an industrial engineering degree from Purdue, so this is one of my passions besides admissions. So it's a little bit different when you're talking about a holistic review for engineering. And we'll go into some more details, but holistic review versus an automatic admission, whether you're being reviewed for a specific engineering discipline or maybe for a first year engineering program, we're going to be looking at other things outside of your academics. We're going to be looking for additional things maybe you've done to express your interest or pursue your passion in engineering. Jill and I are going to cover this a little bit more in just a minute, but the most important thing I think I want to say here is it's really important for you, if you're interested in engineering, to ask the individual university, and all of us as admissions representatives are the best ones to talk to about how the application process works, so that you make sure you're on track, whether it's grades or courses or extracurricular things that you need to be a competitive applicant for that university. It's important to know how that review process is going to work. Catherine, you want to kind of restate what we're going to talk about, Jill and I, in the next part?
Yes, absolutely. So our next question is going to talk more in depth about that review process. So what can a high school student do to prepare both academically as well as extracurriculars for this admissions review?
All right, so thanks for kind of reviewing what we're going to talk about now. It's really important if you are a little bit earlier in your high school career, or even if you're a junior this year, it's important for you to understand, like I said, what the requirements are for an engineering program. In general, a good way to prepare yourself academically to be a competitive engineering applicant is take 4 years of math, take 4 years of lab science. When I say math, most schools are going to prefer that you take calculus in high school. So if there's any way you can get to calculus your senior year, that's going to be helpful and look more competitive on an engineering application. Those 4 years of lab science are critical, even if your high school only requires 3 years, or the university you're applying to is looking for a 3-year lab science minimum requirement. It's still a great idea to take that extra level, that AP credit of that lab science that you enjoyed. The other academic thing I will specifically mention is we always look for at Purdue that you've taken some kind of coding or computer science. That's not saying you're not going to get in without that course in high school, but it can be really helpful in the application process. And don't discount the liberal arts classes that you're taking in high school. English is very important, and you need to still be successful in that class because engineers need to be good writers and communicators. With that, I'm going to pass it to Jill in case she has anything to add, and she's going to tell you about the extracurricular.
Yeah, thanks. And I think just one more point that probably is assumed, but needs to be stated, taking the advanced courses that are offered at your high school, whether that be AP, pre-AP, honors, dual credit, IB, we have to say that you've pursued the rigor that's offered to you, because engineering courses are rigorous. I don't think that any of us would say our classes are super easy to breeze through. So we want to see that you've pushed yourself academically in high school and that you've taken advantage of the rigor that's been offered to you. So we know that you can come in and be successful in those super rigorous courses on our campus. So outside of the academics, if your application is going through a holistic review process, which again is a process through which a reviewer will consider all the components of your application when reviewing, not just the numbers, not just GPA and test score or class rank, what have you, but where every component is considered. The academics are of course important, the test scores, the GPA, the courses you've taken, but outside of that, there are a few other components that become super important as well. One, of course, would be your extracurricular involvement. I would recommend that if it's possible for you to get involved in extracurriculars that have to do with math, science, science, engineering, computer science, etc., that you do those things. For Illinois in particular, it's very difficult for us to admit a student to an engineering major if we don't see that they have any sort of demonstrated interest in engineering outside of the classroom. So whether that manifests itself in a robotics club, in a physics club, maybe you have the opportunity to do shadowing of an engineer, maybe your parents are friends with engineers and you can shadow them or do an internship, any kind of independent research that you're able to pursue on your own. We have lots of students that come to us that have created apps and things like that. All of those things are things that we want to see highlighted on your application. That's not to say drop out of choir and don't run track and field. Do the things that you love and that you're passionate about. But if you do have the opportunity to pursue some of those math and science related extracurriculars, we love to see those. Again, it just demonstrates your interest outside of the classroom. Separately, like Cheryl mentioned, writing is a huge component of being a successful engineer. And so your essay, if required, not all universities will require an essay, but if it is required, your essay is super important. We are not at all impressed with engineers that only give us 2 or 3 sentences in an essay. We want to know who you are, what you're passionate about, what makes you tick, why you want to be an engineer. And then also we want to know that you can put together a well-composed sentence, paragraph, and essay. So don't count those out. Like Cheryl mentioned, the liberal arts, the English, the social studies are super important to us as well, because we're really looking for well-rounded students to come into our engineering programs.
Before we move on, I do just want to add, check with each institution. If you are interested in engineering, a common thing that you'll hear all of us say is it depends. And unfortunately, all of our programs are different, but different in a great way. And so reach out to each of us specifically about what the requirements are for each of our individual schools. I know I can speak for all of us that we'd be happy to explain in depth what our universities specifically require. And so please feel free to reach out to any of us, or if you're interested in another institution, reach out to your admissions counselor and they'll explain all of this fully for your engineering program of choice. Alrighty, so kind of going into what the first year experience will look like at, with specifically for engineering. Talk about what your first year program looks like. What your first year program is for students, if it's more general or if it's a specific first year program.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take this question. And I kind of feel like with most engineering programs, you fit in, it works either one way or another. Either you have kind of like a general year your first year, or you might be directly admitted into a specific engineering major. It just kind of depends on the institution. But for us at Texas A&M, we use a general approach for the first year, where all of our engineering and computer science students are taking roughly the same coursework. And then going into year 2 is when they'll actually choose their major. And that process is usually based off of their grade point average. And then they also get to list their kind of top 5 preferences of which majors they want to go into. And so it can be kind of a competitive process, but we also, I think something like 85% of our students get their first choice engineering major going into the second year. So you have a pretty high chance of moving on into what you want to move into. But we moved to a more general model. Back when I was in school, students got admitted directly into an engineering major, but we moved to a general model because we realized that a lot of students didn't have a lot of insight into all the different options that they have within engineering and computer science. So that first year is kind of an exploratory year to where they can look and see what options they have. They get to learn more about different career paths and different things. So I think it really helps them to know that, hey, this is the major that I really want to be in, and this is the major that I want to graduate with, so they can really hone in on those last 3 years in that specific area instead of jumping around possibly. And I guess, did somebody want to take...
I'll kind of speak to the other side.
Oh, no, go ahead, Chandra. Sorry, I was saying if somebody wanted to take the other end of it.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, so I'll kind of take the other side as far as having a direct admission process. So we are an automatic admission at Wichita State. And so if you say, hey, I want to be mechanical engineering, you'll absolutely be placed in that major and can pursue that. What we do offer for undecided students and for all of our engineering majors is our Engineering 101 course. So in that, get to go through all the different facets they'll explore. And if you decide electrical engineering is really what I'm passionate about, you're welcome to change your mind. So it can really look as and be directly admitted that way and continue to pursue being.
Awesome. Thank you thank you both. So another question that we often get is, can I combine an engineering degree with any other interest or a minor or a major or double major, anything like that?
So I'll speak for a minute on this. There are a couple different things you can do. A lot of students I talk with say that they have a strong interest in business in addition to engineering. So it's, again, really important for you to check with the particular university that you're applying to find out what kind of opportunities they might have. Some schools may have an MBA that can be combined with a bachelor's in engineering. Other schools, I know that we have a program that combines a master's in engineering and an MBA, and you can do it in just 2 years versus 3 years. We're talking graduate school, you know, after you've got your bachelor's degree. But there's also lots of different ways in the undergrad programs to combine interests. If we go back to the engineering and the business interest again, for instance, Purdue has a certificate of entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship and innovation. So you could put that on top of your engineering bachelor's degree. Another opportunity, a lot of different institutions have ways to either combine two engineering disciplines. We call it multidisciplinary engineering at Purdue. And we also have interdisciplinary engineering. So interdisciplinary engineering would allow you to do something perhaps that you want that engineering background and that engineering degree, but you have a specific interest. For instance, acoustical engineering or air quality engineering are just a couple examples. If you have that specialty in mind, it's possible to pursue that. And you just, again, want to be talking to the institutions that you're applying to and find out if they have those specialties, whatever that specialty might be, or we like to think of it as a flavor of engineering. We have about 80 different flavors of engineering within the 17 disciplines that we offer. So lots of ways to specialize. There's easy ways, even in addition to a minor, to combine engineering with maybe a liberal arts degree. So just ask the individual institutions what opportunities. So don't think because you have multiple interests, you just have to stick to that straight engineering degree. That's not true. There's lots of ways to combine those other interests. Even with research, study abroad, a lot of times engineering programs have specific engineering study abroad programs, so you can focus that nature.
Something I'll add is Louisiana Tech has a program called You Teach, where any science-based program or major, you can come out with as being a certified teacher. And you might say, okay, I'm an engineer, like I don't think I want to be a teacher. Well, you might not. You might find a passion for it, but also it shows employers that you can communicate big ideas. And I think that's something that employers really value in a prospective employee. And so anything you can do to set yourself apart is always really beneficial. So whether it's, you know, a minor or a major, you know, don't limit yourself. And if you are passionate about something, be encouraged to pursue that beyond your major at your chosen university. Alrighty, anyone else want to add? Alrighty, so you know, we've talked a lot about, you know, kind of the seriousness, the math. You probably already know if you're on this panel that there's a lot of math involved when it comes to engineering. And so we get it. There's also a lot of fun too. So what are some of the organizations, some of the projects, and some of the research programs that might be available at your institution for engineering students?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and take this one. So at Texas A&M, I actually just pulled it up. We actually have over 60 different engineering specific organizations on our campus, anywhere from it being like more cultural, for example, like women in engineering, to the different organizations for the specific majors. So I always think it's really important that you get involved in at least one or maybe two of those more professional organizations. It will kind of help you with just being able to make good connections and kind of helping to build your resume a little bit while you're in college. But then I always also encourage students to look outside of those career specific ones, find something else on campus that you might be interested in and participate in that. Obviously, it's open to you. I know that, like, for example, at A&M, like if you do want to stick more with like the science and math end of it, like we do have different organizations that do like, I know we have like a solar car competition for like the last, I don't know how many years, that is really big. A lot of students will work on. We actually did something with like these mobile medical units. So it was a cross partnership between engineering and our College of Architecture students. And so actually some of your mobile coronavirus testing pods that you might see around the state are actually coming from our students who basically retrofitted and put those together. So lots of different ways that you can get involved. And then of course, you know, being at a larger institution, you also have an opportunity to do research if you'd like to. And sometimes it's just as easy as asking, you know, your engineering professor, hey, are you working on any research, you know, programs? Do you need any help? And, you know, volunteering your time to get involved in that. You know, you might be lucky to get paid to do some of the research, but if anything, you know, being able to get your hands dirty and dive in on some of the cool research that your professors are doing, we certainly encourage students to do that.
I can go ahead and add a couple fun things that we have. There's lots of, one of the things I just want to touch on also, there's lots of mentorship in engineering. Derek mentioned, you know, women in engineering. Institute of Industrial Engineers is something else I was involved in. In addition to women in engineering, there's mentorship and just a lot of camaraderie in those groups that can really be helpful in and outside the classroom. One of the fun teams that we have, a club that you can join at Purdue that a lot of engineers choose to pursue, is the Grand Prix team. So Grand Prix is a go-kart race we have every spring. Lots of engineering energy goes into building those carts and driving them. So lots of fun there. Derek also mentioned research. In your engineering classes, you're probably going to be doing at a lot of institution real-world projects because companies need help. And who better to ask but college students who are studying engineering with all these great ideas. One of the fun engineering projects we have from several years ago now, an engineering class, first-year engineering class designed a way for students to walk more efficiently across the street. They have these kind of intersections in lots of places now because I've seen them elsewhere, but we call it a scramble walk, and all the lights at the intersection always turn red at one time. And the little person that talks, that little automated voice, says you can cross all ways at that intersection. So you're going, you know, crosswise against the, in the whole intersection, all the cars are stopped. So wouldn't that be cool to walk across campus and know that your team was the project team that developed that scramble walk stoplight system? So pretty neat. So that's just a couple other examples.
I know something that our university has is a program called CyberStorm. We haven't talked too much about, you know, cybersecurity and computer science, but this is a hackathon per se for our freshman students to basically just hack all day. So it's really fun. Students really enjoy that program. We had the first undergraduate program in cyber engineering, so that's a program and just a fun activity that our students look forward to at the end of the year. Anyone else have any answers to this question before we move on? Awesome. So I did just want to, you know, ask the panelists if there's anything else you wanted to add. We have kind of completed our questions before we'll move on to any specific student questions. But if there's anything that you guys wanted to add about your specific programs, feel free to share.
There's one thing I just want to add. And when you get a variety of institutions in a room like this, there's always differences. Catherine said it, we all said it depends. I just want to, since Catherine just brought up computer science, I want anybody who's interested in computer science or computer engineering or something related, computer engineering related, to be very specific when you're asking your questions on what your true interest is. Is it coding? Is it, back-end work? Is it really more like graphic, computer graphics things? This kind of an oddball thing, but at Purdue, our computer science major is not in our College of Engineering. We do have computer engineering, but our computer science major is in our College of Science. I know Jill, my colleague at University of Illinois, they have a very robust computer science department, and it's part of their College of Engineering. So again, I just want to stress that it's important to ask a lot of questions, be clear about what you think your interests are so that you understand how the application process works and where the major is that you're applying to.
Yeah, and I guess I would just second that like just making sure that the major that or the idea of the career that you're interested in actually does reside in that college, essentially on that campus. And I guess an example for us is that we have our own College of Architecture, but we also have architectural engineering, which is, not going to have those creative pieces in it that a general architecture degree, would have. So I get a lot of students, especially last year, who got confused about, okay, if I want to be an architect, do I put architectural engineering or do I put architecture? And for us, architecture is a direct admit major. So if there's space available, we just simply place the student in there. But those students that put architectural engineering as a choice had to go through our engineering review process. And by the time that was up, they lost a seat in architecture, unfortunately. So you really need to take time and ask questions and not just make assumptions about what you see and what's listed on a college website or on a institution's major listing. You really do need to take the time to ask those questions and figure out, okay, which is going to be the best fit for me? Where do I need to find myself on this campus?
I think I would just simply add kind of more after you get onto your campus, check out what resources might be available to you as an engineering student. I know, for instance, we have our Geeks tutoring. They call themselves that on purpose, but it's specific to our engineering students. And it's really for all those more difficult math classes that you're gonna come in contact with. And, while you may not struggle in one area, you may struggle in another. It's a job opportunity if you find that you excel in those courses to, be able to help others. But a variety of things were talked about as far as just getting involved in, doing something hands-on with your degree kind of as you're in college. And I just encourage you to look at that, have some fun with it. If you have played an instrument for your whole time in high school and you want to do that, keep it up. Explore those opportunities to get involved, whether it's specifically engineering related or outside of there.
Chandra just brought up a really good point about classes and support academically. One of the things that we haven't touched on, I just want to mention quick, is about AP credits. I think that my colleagues, the other panelists, will agree that a lot of students who are interested in applying to engineering want to get their AP credits and get those taken care of. I would just caution you to be careful and understand that you're stepping into the next level of math or science or whatever it may be. So be prepared for that. I think all of our institutions probably have ways to assist you in figuring out if you're prepared for that next level of math is the one that comes most often. A lot of students say, okay, well, I took calculus in high school, so I'm done now. Well, we all know that calculus is the building block for many more calculus courses and lots of other fun things. So you just want to be, it's great to get the credit, and it may save you a little bit of time and some money depending on what path you take, but it's important to make sure you're prepared for that next level of whatever class, even if you have taken that AP class. It's okay to take that same class in college again. Jill mentioned how rigorous engineering courses can be. So it's important to be okay taking that class again. I was thankful. I didn't know I wanted to study engineering, and so I started in a different major, but I was very thankful I already had calculus in high school. But I took it again at Purdue, and it was a much different class. I understood it the second time.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep in mind that like college is just a different ball game, and so to be comfortable with maybe not succeeding right away. Last year, not since COVID-19, but last year I met with one of our Houston alumni who is an engineering graduate from Illinois. And he was telling me I was the valedictorian at my high school. I thought I had this in the bag, and I came to Illinois, and midterms, I was failing all my math classes. So just be ready to be okay with a little bit of change. And like Chandra mentioned, really take advantage of the academic support resources that are on campus, whether that's tutoring or office hours, or if your TA holds homework hours, things like that, because it is just going to be different, and that's okay. All of our campuses, and I would imagine any campus would be ready to help support you academically, but just be ready to know that it's going to be a little bit different, and be open to accessing those resources that we have that'll support you academically, because it is going to be a whole new ball game, but that's exciting because that's when you'll really grow and expand.
Awesome, great advice, guys. So we will move on into some student questions that we've received. So one we've touched on briefly, but if anyone wants to go into greater detail, what are the most popular joint majors or minors with engineering?
I think business is super popular. Would y'all agree? And I think that's something that, we've said, talk to your admissions counselor. We have a few engineering degrees that we do not recommend double majoring with business, because we just see our students not being successful, because both of those degree paths are so incredibly rigorous. But I think business is a huge one. Yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any other thoughts.
I know, at least for us, and I had a couple friends that were able to do this as well, is that because you're taking so many math and science classes, it's super easy to add a double major in something in like the College of Science, for example. I know for like our chemical engineering students, it's literally a matter of like 2 additional classes that they need to add a chemistry double major. If not, they already have the minor at that point. So I think that at least on the science end, there's a lot of options. But I would definitely caution you to double majoring in business if your school offers that, if the school that you're going to offers that. Somebody that was a business major, it's a whole other ballgame. I would have never lasted a minute in the College of Engineering at Texas A&M. And on the flip end of that, I had roommates that did a minor, which we allow at Texas A&M. We only allow minors in business. And so basically they struggled immensely like in their business courses, because it was just something completely different from what they were doing in engineering. And I would hate to see you have to struggle overall because you're trying to add in all these additional credit hours and trying to build on top of that when you're trying to get 2 degrees in 2 different, very, 2 completely different areas. So, I would say sticking with the minor might be a better choice if it's something, completely different. Or like Cheryl had mentioned, looking at what programs you have at a master's level, being able to go directly into like a master's MBA program or something along those lines, I think would be really helpful for you, even if it's later down the road after you spend a couple years, working for an engineering firm.
Yeah, and oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jill.
I also think something that's super common, and I bet you all will agree, is that I work with a ton of engineering students who have a real passion for music. So I see a ton of students coming in who I know I want to be an aerospace engineer, but I've played the violin for 15 years and I want to keep that up. So I think you're not limited with an engineering degree. I would encourage you guys, if you have passions in any sort of area of study, to pursue them. And if it's not feasible as a double major, which sometimes it might not be with business or a really high demand major, pursue it as a minor or as a certificate. Cheryl talked about certificates earlier, and I think that's a wonderful way as well. But know that I don't think you're limited with an engineering degree. You really can pursue your passions across any area of interest.
I wanted to add, I know you mentioned English earlier. At Louisiana Tech, I think you're only one, maybe two or three classes away from an English minor. So majoring or minoring in something like English with maybe an emphasis in technical writing could be immensely helpful for, setting yourself apart, but just, personally in any proposals or project management situations that you might find yourself later on in your career. All right, another question that we have is, what types of engineering are in high demand right now?
Computer science, computer engineering, all things computers are in super high demand. And I think probably will continue to be for the foreseeable future. And so just inevitably at places like Illinois that do holistic reviews, those tend to be our most competitive majors because they are in such high demand. So that's important to note and to talk to your admission counselor about if you're interested in one of those computer related areas of study that we all see to be in such high demand. Kind of talk about what that review process looks like, as for Illinois, it looks different than the rest of our engineering majors. So, but yeah, I don't know if you guys see the same trend.
Yeah, definitely on the computer end of things. I would also say there's been quite an increased interest in majors that getting students that have like a green background. So whether it is, I don't know, could be like, green engineering of buildings or cars or something like that, but having that kind of background, I think, is what a lot of firms are kind of looking for, regardless of, kind of what's going on in that industry. Everybody's looking to kind of improve on that end. And then I would just say, I mean, for most of us, I feel like those general like mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, civil engineering, there's always going to be a need for those people in the, in the job marketplace. I don't know, if at some point it will get over flooded, but I just know that at least for a lot of those disciplines, you do have a lot of options in different ways and different places that you can go. They're pretty flexible. So I think that's what we see is a lot in computer, anything computer related, technology related, green engineering, and then, your general mechanical, civil, chemical.
Yeah, Derek mentioned like environmental and ecological engineering. I mentioned earlier when we were talking air quality engineering, life cycle engineering, water quality engineering, those types of things are very popular. Again, I will just encourage you, if you have dreamed of being an engineer, but something just doesn't seem like it's clicking when you're looking at our websites, there may be engineering technology opportunities and majors. Just like I mentioned, our computer science major is not in our College of Engineering, but we have computer engineering. So in a third academic college, we have an entire computer graphics technology department. We also have an entire engineering technology department. So don't discount that there's still a way to pursue your major if it's not the College of Engineering at the particular school you're applying to. I think it's important for you to understand if you really want the school or you really want engineering, and explore. Like I said, there may be, we have 13 different engineering technology majors at Purdue. So don't, limit yourself on the exploration piece of this whole process.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly add kind of about the small majors kind of thing. Don't discount the smaller majors at really any institution, no matter what that, discipline is. Because if you think about it, if there's not a whole lot of people going in that area, then that might mean that the job placement rate might be very, very high because there's not very many people in that marketplace with that kind of a background. It's like, like Cheryl mentioned, like some of the engineering technologies, we don't find a lot of students that navigate towards those, but they are actually some of the students that end up getting multiple job offers right off the bat because not very many people have that background. But, there's so many mechanical engineers or chemical engineers out there that, you're competing with a whole large gamut of people. Whereas if you have something a little bit more specialized, you might actually have better job prospects in the long run, especially if it's something that you're passionate about and that you're interested in. Don't be afraid of those different discipline areas.
Awesome. So this is going to be more about the SAT and the ACT. I know a lot of schools are going test optional. So if we were to submit our test scores, if we do have some, how big of an impact would it make for admission? Should a student still include their test scores if it's average for the university, or not include those test scores?
I think that's where you really have to speak with the admissions representative for the university you're applying to. I imagine that we all have some similar advice, but I think it's really important to note that all of our processes, even if we both say, oh, we're both holistic or we're both automatic, our processes are probably just a little bit different. So it's really important to reach out to the schools that you're looking at and get an idea of what their process is and hear from the admissions representative what their recommendation would be for you.
Yeah, and I would say also, just I find this across the board quite a lot, is your idea of what is an average or a bad test score, that may not be the case for that university, or, you know, a low test score for you might be a high test score for another student. So in a lot of cases, you know, again, reach out to somebody at the university, but, you know, submit what you have and let us decide what's high and what's low. In many cases, you know, we'll work with that process. So.
Awesome, thank you guys. And our last question is going to be more about our visit policies. What have you guys open for campus visits? And I'll ask that each university kind of explain and elaborate what their university is doing in light of COVID-19 in regards to their campus visits.
I can start. We are not hosting any on-campus visits for fall of 2020. We'll reevaluate later in the fall semester what our policy will be for spring, but we are not encouraging visitors to come to campus at this time. We have, as I'm sure my colleagues do, a really robust virtual visits page online, and that's what we would encourage you all to look at. And engage with us in spaces like this and set up Zoom meetings with us and take our virtual tours and watch YouTube videos, etc. But at this point in time, we are not encouraging students to go to campus as all of our offices are closed.
I guess I'll go next. So yes, we are open for tours. They are very limited. We're only allowed to see 60 students a day, basically, or 60 people a day. So I would ask that if you do end up making an appointment to do a campus tour and you're not able to go, to please try to unregister for that, so that if another student is available, they can do that. You know, no call, no show is just rude. It's just plain outright rude and unprofessional. But then on the flip side, our College of Engineering is completely closed to visitors. So you can come and tour the main parts of campus, but you won't be able to go to the engineering part of campus and get into any buildings. It's only for students and faculty and staff at this time. So yeah, but we do have a really great, you know, virtual tour of like our engineering complex, and you know, there's different presentations on different majors and whatnot.
Purdue is not encouraging visitors to come to campus for this fall. Our admissions office is open during the week, but has a skeleton staff, and our welcome center is open during the week, but a skeleton staff. You honestly are going to get a lot better experience if you go to our prospective virtual experience page. I just posted my email address in the chat, and I have the link to our prospective student virtual experience page in my signature line. We just really encourage you to go there. There's ways to connect with every department and all, you know, honors college bands, whoever you want to talk to. I'm also happy to set up individual one-on-one meetings if you want to do that. There's lots of different ways, but you're truly going to get the best experience virtually right now at Purdue, as University of Illinois is. We're going to evaluate later in the semester.
So at Wichita State, we are allowing campus visitors to come to campus, definitely social distancing and being safe about it. But pretty typical experience, really. The masks and all that good stuff, but you can still request an academic appointment. You still get the full tour, everything like that. So we do have virtual opportunities as well. So I'll post our visit website there that will take you to either opportunity. Our capacity has been limited, kind of like Derek mentioned, but if there's a date that's posted on our website, then it's still available. And once the capacity is reached, then that date will kind of it wouldn't be there for you to sign up for. So we'd love to have you on campus or virtually or both if one works better for you sooner than later.
Awesome. And at Louisiana Tech, we are also offering College of Engineering and Science virtual visits. So I included the link to sign up for those. Additionally, we are offering on campus, but they are at a very limited capacity, only one in the afternoon and one in the morning. So those will go fast. So I'd encourage you, if you are interested in coming in person, to book way in advance. So this concludes our panel for today. Just want to thank all of our panelists just for the excellent information that they have given each of us. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we do have one additional event tonight, our University Spotlight event, that you can find more information at texasdarn.com. Again, we thank you for your participation. Hope that you've gained valuable information, and good luck in your future engineering endeavors. Thank you guys so much.